Hello guys, Captain Muffin here, and I am officially back. I've taken a bit of a break, but I am back to content creation, and I am ready for another video for you guys. So in today's video, I'm going to be doing an updated tutorial on for 2023 for how to fly the Fenix A320. So most likely this will be a part 1 of a multi-part series. So in this part I just plan on doing going from cold and dark to takeoff, and then there will be some other videos showing you how to go from takeoff to cruise to descent, and then how to make an approach and land and all of that good stuff. But for today, this is going to be the first video, and I'm going to be showing you how to start up the Fenix A320 from cold and dark. So I recently got my hands on this aircraft, and I'm really excited to test it out, try it out, and show you guys how to fly. I know the aircraft has already been out for quite a while, but if you want an updated tutorial, this is probably the newest one out there by the time you're watching. Then this video will definitely be for you, and it's not going to be super in-depth, as I've only flown the aircraft a few times. I'm not really a professional or anything, but yeah, it's mostly a beginner-oriented tutorial, so just so you know, it's not going to be super in-depth. But yeah, let's go ahead and get right into it. So let's get into the cockpit. So just a reminder, you will need the Fenix app running so the aircraft works properly. So we'll go ahead and that's no good. Anyways, so you want to get into the tablet. So if you didn't know, the passcode is 000, all 4 zeros actually. And you want to go to the Fenix app. Oops, something happened. 1 second, I'll be right back, guys. Alrighty guys, so just some technical difficulties since I have been in the simulator for quite a while. But all I had to do is restart my Fenix app and we're all good to go. So let's go ahead and go to the Fenix app. So I'm using SimBrief for this video. If you don't know what SimBrief is, it's you can go to their website and you can basically make a external flight plan which you can use in the simulator. I'll try to make a SimBrief tutorial soon so that I can show you guys how it works. But there's plenty of SimBrief tutorials out there, and I'm sure if you've been playing the sim for quite a while, you're probably familiar with SimBrief. So this fly-by-wire A320-200 does have the SimBrief integration, so that's very helpful when you're trying to plan your flight. So we'll go ahead and click tap to import from SimBrief, and our flight plan should pop in there. Here we're at Stansted and we're going to Zurich. That's the flight plan I have loaded. Next things next, we need to go to ground services, and we need to make sure that our GPU, our ground power unit, is connected so that we can get some external power, so it can power the aircraft for now until we turn on the APU. So that's good, and then we can toggle jetway if we want, so that we can get some people into the aircraft. Oh, there it goes, it's coming. Or maybe it's coming back. Anyways, we need to board the aircraft. So let's go to mass and balance. And what we're gonna go ahead and do is we're gonna click load aircraft here. For the sake of this video, I'll just do instant, but if you want to be more realistic, then it would go real time obviously, but just for the sake of the video, we're gonna hit instant. Boarding complete. All of our passengers are boarded in the aircraft, and all of our information as far as fuel, weight and balance and all that stuff is in there. So that all looks good, which means we now need to go to the overhead panel so that we can get some power in the aircraft. So I believe if you hit Control and 5 on your keyboard, it will take you straight to the overhead panel. We're going to turn on the 2 batteries, and then we're going to go ahead and turn on the external power. and you should hear some things coming to life here. I'm gonna turn on the ADRs. So we're gonna set them to nav. Oops. Just like that. We're gonna turn on the crew supply so we can have some oxygen. We're gonna go ahead and arm the emergency exit lights, and we're gonna set the nav and logo lights to 1. And that's basically all we need to do in the overhead panel for now. So we'll go back down here, and now it's time to get to programming the MCDU. So let's go ahead and go down there. I believe it is, oops, next time I hit something. That's not good. Let's see what we hit. I'm not sure, but everything should be good to go. So if you hit Control 1, it'll take you down to the MCDU so that we can access this more easily. We'll go ahead and click ATSU. Then we'll go to AOC menu. And then we'll go to flights init. And then we'll click init data request. So if you did your SimBrief flight plan, all of this will fill out here in a second. All of our flight plan information, as you can see, departing from Stansted, arriving in Zurich, all looks good, and our flight number as well. So now that we've done that, we can hit the init button, go to the init page. Now we can import all of this in from SimBrief by clicking the init request button, so we'll go ahead and do that. There we go. It takes a minute to load. Not a minute, like just a second. Alright, so this looks good. We do need to input some stuff. So our flight number, I believe, was, you don't really need to put this in. We'll save it for later actually. We'll just leave this blank. Now we'll put in the cost index and the cruising altitude. I'll show you guys how to do that. So if you hit Control 3, it'll take you back to the tablet and we can find out all this information there. So we'll go back to the home screen, we'll go to pilot brief, and if you have your SimBrief flight plan in here already, then yeah, you need to click here to import your flight plan. You can go to Operation Flight Plan, which is already open here, and the cost index here, CI is 51. So we'll go ahead and go down there to back to the MCDU. We'll put in 51 for our cost index. Then we need our cruising altitude, which you can find if you go ahead and actually go to your SimBrief in the browser. It shows you, or if you use some kind of other software that has SimBrief integration, you can. So our cruising altitude today will be 35,000 feet, so we'll just say flight level 350. Put that in there, and that all looks good. And then we'll hit IRS init in here, and we'll click align on ref, confirm align. Oh, that's good. So that's good for the first page of the init thing. That's good for now. So we can go to the second page as well, and we can put in our our zero fuel weight. I don't know what all this stands for. I kind of forget, if I'm being honest. But we can go to the EFB and access this. If we go to the Fenix app here, we go to weight and mass and balance. We can see we already loaded all the aircraft, so we can see exactly what these numbers are that we're looking at. So you can get these numbers from here, the zero fuel weight and the Mach zero fuel weight. These are the two numbers you need. So this will be 56.8 and this will be 31.4. We'll put that in there. So 56.8 and 31.4, I believe. Yeah. Put that in there. That looks good. Then block fuel. We should be able to find that here. 71.8 is what we're looking at today. Oops. As you like right here, it says fuel on board 71.8. I believe that is what should go there. Hold up, let me fix this. There we go. 71.8. Put that into there. Okay, so that's all good. That's our second init page is done. Next things next. We'll go ahead and see our flight plan here. Make sure there's no discontinuity, so if there are, I believe we should just be able to clear them out. Not this time though. So what we're going to want to do here, if we do have any discontinuities, is we need to click on the waypoint or airport, whatever is before it, and we need to see what is the waypoint here. Actually, because it's the airport here, we need to add our SID, basically our path out of the airport that ATC wants us to follow. So how we do that there is we hit departure and we select our runway, and we can find out all this information if we go here to the tablet and we go to the pilot brief app here, and we can see our flight plan. So we go down here, go to the routing area, and you can see Stansted runway 22. We'll go ahead and put that into the MCDU. So runway 22, and we need to find our SID. So if you go back here, it said this NUG B01R. We'll go ahead and find that in the MCDU. We'll go here, and oh, I scrolled right past it. Here it is. Click on that, and that looks good. So we'll hit insert, and there we go. If we look here, our discontinuity is gone. So let's see if there's any other ones. You want to either look out, as you scroll through your flight plan here, you want to look out for anything that says discontinuity or manual. You do not want those in there at all. And everything looks good. Oh, there's a discontinuity here, but that's just because we haven't put in our arrival information yet. So we'll click on that, click on arrival, and we'll go back to our tablet really quick. And our arrival is runway 14 at Zurich. Go back, ILS runway 14, and our star, which is the path that ATC wants us to follow into the airport. We'll go ahead and look for that, and it's this BLM 3 Golf. Go back here. 3 Golf or 2? I forget. Hold up. It's 3. And there's only 2 Golf. I guess that'll work. Like, my stuff is kind of outdated, like my sim brief stuff, because I don't have Navigraph and the latest stuff, but it'll do. So, insert that into our flight plan. We'll check for any discontinuities. And then that looks good. And then runway 14, all of this stuff is if we do need to do a go around, but we won't worry about that for this episode. So that our flight plan is pretty much done. Now the next thing we have to do, GPS primary, next thing we have to do is our takeoff calculation. So for that, we just need to go to this perf page. So we need to get our V speeds and then all this information so that we're able to take off. So how we do that is we yet again go back to this very handy tablet, and we go to departure perf, and we select our stuff. So we're going to be on runway 22 today. It's dry. We can sync the load sheet. Flap config. It's fine. We can leave it there. Everything looks good, and then we'll just sync the live weather. Go ahead and calculate our takeoff things. and that looks good. So our V1 speed 141 knots. Go back here. So looks like our V1 is 141 knots. Our V rotate is also 141 knots, and our V2 speed is 144 knots. That looks good, so we need to put in this information as well. We'll go ahead and do that. It looks like our flaps 2, DNO 0.2, we'll put that in, so we're using flaps 2 today. So we need 2 slash D N, is it? Yes, DN 0.2. Right here. Yep, and then our flex takeoff temperature. Oops. It will be 68 degrees. Put that in there. And then we need to make sure these numbers are right, so they all read 1848. We need to check those in our tablet. And they're all going to be 1350, so we'll go ahead and correct that. 1350 over 1350. Put that in there, and then put that there as well. So that is basically our entire EFB, not EFB, what am I saying? That is our MCDU setup. That is all good, and we are finished with that. So let's move on to the next step. And as you can see, all our systems are working now because our ADIRs have aligned. Aircraft knows where it is now, so that's all good. Next things next, we need to go back to the overhead panel so that we can turn on the APU. So we'll turn on the APU master switch, and then we'll hit the toggle the APU starter right there, and APU should start to come on. If we look at go back here, if we look at our screen here, we should see APU start to come on here. Hopefully, there we go. So the APU flap is open. You can go check that at the back of the aircraft. And it is open, and the APU is just this tiny little engine at the back of the aircraft that's, you know, powering the systems before we get the engine on, so that we don't need to stay connected to the ground power unit. So that's good. It's coming on now. Here's what we want to see. Yeah, that looks good. So now that we've done our EFB setup, MCDU setup, I don't know why I keep saying that, we should about be ready for push and start. So we'll go to ground services, I suppose, and start to get ready. So if we go up to the overhead panel, and it says the start APU thing says avail, that means we can turn on the APU bleed, which is going to help power up the engines, I believe. And now that the APU is on, we can turn off the external power. Yep, there we go, you heard it click. And then all our systems will still be running. We can disconnect the ground power unit as well, and we are now running on APU power, which is nice. So we do need to set our QNH. So if you're using live weather, just hit B and it will do it for you, or you can look in your EFB and it will tell you what the QNH is, but for the sake of this video, we'll just hit B on our keyboard and it'll put it in for us. Okay, so that all looks good. We'll turn on no smoking signs to auto, and we'll turn on our ring light to show that we are getting ready for push and start. And we'll go down here. We do have a company message in the MCDU. We'll go ahead and check that out. So go to the MCDU menu, ATSU, AOC menu, receive messages, and it's just our load sheet for the flight. We'll accept that. Alright, so that all looks good. Let's get ready for push and start. So we're gonna close all the doors and make sure there's no shocks or cones. Oh wow, there's the APU for you, very loud. And we'll toggle the jet weight to remove it. And it's gonna come off. That's good stuff. We'll connect the tug. Like this. That's how it's done in the Fenix A320. We'll go ahead and move this down to 10. Oops. So you can see our ND right here. So we need to taxi to runway 22. So let's take a look outside and find out which way. So should be right there. So it won't be too long of a taxi, should be pretty quick. That looks good. So tug is connected. We're gonna remove the parking brake here, and we're gonna start pushback here. Start going back. Okay, so now we need to start up the engine. So we'll turn on the fuel pumps like this. All good. Forgot to test these earlier. Can do it now. It's good, and it's good. All those are tested. Next things next, we need to turn the engine starter switch to ignition to start, and then we'll hit engine 2 so that can start coming on. And then we need to go this way for a pushback. It's good, and we see on the engine page, we should see engine 2 coming to life in a second here. Okay, so our pushback is finished. Do we need to start both the engines? Side stick fault, elevate the sides. Okay. That's odd. I don't know, some things just happen in this aircraft and you don't really know why, because it's a very complex and a very realistic aircraft. Okay, so it looks like engine 2 is finished, so we can turn on engine 1. Looks good to me. In the meantime, we can go up here to the overhead panel, and we can turn on the nose light to taxi. That is all good. And then seatbelt signs can come on as well. Can do the cabin check, and we should see outside the engine start to come to life here. They are very, very loud. Make sure your parking brake is engaged. Yep. And your engines should be, your thing should be on idle. So, yep, it is. It says avail, so that means the engine is on. We can switch this back here, which is all good, and we can turn off the APU. So APU bleed off, master switch off, and that is all good. So we need to do a few things before we get taxiing. We need to arm the spoilers by pulling them up like this. We need to go over here and set flaps 2. and we need to go over here. Oops, I don't know what I pressed. We need to go over here and turn the transponder TCAS system CARA over here, and then we need to go over here, and this thing that says PWS needs to go to auto. So all that stuff is good. We can now release the parking brake and apply a little bit of power to the throttles, and we can go ahead and get going here. You just need a little bit of power because the A320 will basically just glide on the taxiway with very minimal or just no power at all. And yeah, that looks good. So I'll be right back as soon as we make it to the runway. And we're holding short and we can set up all that stuff so that we're ready to take off. See you guys later. Captain Muffin out. Alrighty guys, so we are holding short here on the runway 22 specifically, and we need to set up a few things before takeoff, and we'll go over to the takeoff procedure, how to perform the takeoff, and all of that good stuff. So if we look here on our ECAM display here, we basically did all of this stuff, but we do need to set the takeoff auto brake to max, which can be found right here. Click that, should say on, and then takeoff config test. So it's this little button down here. Press it, and if it says normal, then you're all good to go. So next thing, we are gonna go up to the overhead panel yet again, and we need to turn on some lights. So we'll turn on the beacon lights, set the strobe lights to auto, runway turn off lights go on. We can turn wing light off, and we can set the nose light to take off, and then landing lights come on as well. We won't need to take those off until we reach 10,000 feet. So that's all looking good. And go back down here, and we should be ready for takeoff. So today we're going to be doing a toga takeoff, which basically just means we're just going to go full power. Toga means take off and go around, so just so you know, we're just going to be using maximum power today. Seems like a shorter runway here at Stansted because we have to use flaps too. That's usually not that normal. I mean, I usually use flaps 1, but today we're using flaps 2. So we're gonna roll down the runway as soon as we reach 141 knots. We're gonna go ahead and rotate, and as soon as we're climbing and not falling, hopefully, we can put the gear up, and we'll go there. We'll go from there. So let's go ahead and get ready for takeoff. Gonna release the parking brakes, and we're gonna roll onto the runway. So something I really like about the Fenix A320 is the sound set. Like the engines sound really cool, and I've flown on an A320-200 before, but I've never, been the pilot of one. Obviously, I don't think I'm very qualified to do that, but engine sounds sound like they're really realistic and really good, so we won't really hear them on this takeoff since I have them pretty quiet, but you can definitely hear them in your simulator. So we'll go 50% power, and then max. Here we go. Gotta watch the speed to know when it's time to rotate, of course. Just see the little toga thing pop up on your PFD. Just the thing that has the blue and orange on it, if you didn't know. And rotates. Little late. Positive rate of climb, get the gear up. And our little dot that we have on the PFD right here, we just want to follow the green things. So once we get past that little orange marker on the PFD on the speed area, then we will do flaps up. Put the speed tier to climb and turn on autopilot. What is happening here? They're on climb. No, there we go. Okay. You have to make sure you're precise with those. Okay, so that is good. We're up in the air now. Everything is well navigated. Like, the Fenix A320 will just yell warnings at you for no apparent reason. Like, I have no idea why it does some of these things. So we click autopilot 1, we engage the autopilot because I can be kind of a bad pilot sometimes and like crash and stuff, and that's not very good, is it? So, yeah. We're flying now. We can definitely say that we're flying now. I'll give a rundown on how the autopilot works really quick before the end of this video. So if we look down here at our flight plan, we can see that these certain waypoints have constraints on what altitude should be when you pass them. So if you see, we're right up next to this D170H hotel waypoint here, and it says by this waypoint we need to be at 4,000 feet. So if you see here, and we have it at 10,000 feet right now, right? But it's hard to explain while you're flying, but pretty much when you have this little dot right here, the airplane will fly based on the constraints at these waypoints. Like, it's not just going to climb straight to 10,000 feet. Also, the speed below 10,000 feet, you're supposed to be flying at 250 knots. So because we didn't input anything here and it has that little dot there, then its speed is being managed. It's kept at 250 knots, which is very helpful. Now, if you don't care about the constraints on these waypoints, which you probably should care, and here we can hit the constraints button so we can see here we're supposed to be at 4,000 feet and this waypoint as well, so that's why we're holding 4,000 feet right now, because that's where we're supposed to be. But if, let's say you just wanted to go climb straight up to 30,000 feet, then what you'd do is you'd go here and go to 30,000 feet. Our cruising altitude is actually 35,000 feet, so we'll just put that in there, and you're gonna like pull it so that the white dot goes, the orange dot goes away, and it's just gonna climb straight as fast as possible to 35,000 feet without following the constraints. Like if you were doing VATSIM or just normally GC, and they tell you climb to 10,000 feet, then that's when you would use that mode. Or maybe they would tell you slow down to 240 knots, then you would go here and select 240 knots, and then you would pull it so that the dot goes away, and then you would slow down to 240 knots. So that's basically a rundown of how the autopilot works. If you want to have managed, like set it manually, or if you just want to let the airplane do its thing, that's how all that stuff works. So for the meantime, we're just holding 4,000 feet because that's basically the SID. You're supposed to stay down here 4,000 feet for now, but eventually we'll make our climb and we'll be cruising at 35,000 feet. But that, my friends, is for another video, and we officially reached the end of this one. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you learned a lot from this tutorial if you're a beginner, and if you're an expert, I appreciate if you tell me in the comments what I did wrong, because I bet I got a lot of stuff wrong, but that's just because of my inexperience. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you like flight simulation content like this, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.